We're counting down 7 car brands genuinely struggling to survive. Not obscure startups, but names that built legendary sports cars, dominated entire categories, and sold millions worldwide. Right now, they're facing catastrophic problems: bad EV bets, collapsing dealer networks, or getting outplayed by Chinese manufacturers building competitive EVs for half the price. The brand at number one might not make it past 2026. You need to know which companies are circling the drain before buying their cars. Some will survive through brutal restructuring. Others, we're watching their final years. Number 7. Mitsubishi. Remember when Mitsubishi made the Lancer Evolution and actually mattered in rally racing? Those days are done. Their US dealer network is collapsing, and the numbers are scary. They've got about 300 dealers left in the United States. Compare that to Toyota or Honda, and it's pathetic. Average dealer profit dropped from 2.2% in 2023 to under 1% in 2024. Dealers are basically breaking even, hoping things improve. In the Midwest alone, 4 out of 15 dealerships closed in a single year. One dealer told Automotive News they're losing $80,000 monthly just keeping the doors open. The cars aren't helping. The Outlander Sport dates back to 2011. They killed the Mirage with zero replacement. Meanwhile, they raised prices 22% over 4 years while cutting dealer incentives by 26%. Dealers are selling outdated products at higher prices with less corporate support. That's not strategy, that's surrender. Their partnership with Nissan was supposed to help, except Nissan is drowning too, as you'll see. Relying on Nissan's EV platform is like asking someone underwater to throw you a life preserver. Mitsubishi might survive. Their Momentum 2030 plan promises one new model yearly through 2030. They signed deals with major dealer groups, and parent company Mitsubishi Group has deep pockets. Plus, they're still strong in Southeast Asia, where affordability matters more than brand image. The question is whether they can move fast enough. Number 6. Volkswagen. When you close a factory in Germany for the first time in your 88-year history, you're fighting for survival. Volkswagen just shut down their Dresden plant, the first German closure ever. They're cutting 35,000 jobs by 2030 and slashing production capacity by 734,000 units. The company projects an €11 billion cash shortfall for 2026. Their operating margin is 2.3%. BMW and Mercedes run at about 11% and 10%. VW is getting destroyed on their home turf. Here's what went wrong. Volkswagen bet everything on electric vehicles. They committed €160 billion to electrification. They built factories, retooled production lines, discontinued profitable gas models. Then consumers didn't show up. Now they're running facilities at partial capacity, bleeding cash, while facing EU fines if they don't sell enough EVs to meet emissions targets. But they lose money on every EV sold. It's the world's most expensive catch-22. Build more EVs and lose money per car, or skip them and pay massive fines. Meanwhile, Chinese companies like BYD build competitive EVs for literally half of VW's costs. VW spent decades mastering gas engines. That means nothing when the market shifts to batteries and software, where Chinese companies excel. Their factory costs run 25 to 50% higher than competitors. German unions blocked reforms for years. VW's CEO admitted some German plants cost twice as much to operate as competitors' facilities. Volkswagen will probably survive because they're too important for Germany to let fail. They reached a union deal avoiding immediate closures. Premium brands like Porsche remain profitable. Skoda is doing well, but the core VW brand is in intensive care. The CFO admits 2025 and 2026 will show only slightly positive cash flow. For a company this size, that's terrifying. Number 5. Alfa Romeo. Alfa Romeo has been on the verge of a comeback for about 15 years. Stellantis seems ready to admit it's not happening. U.S. sales dropped 70% since 2021. In 2024, Alfa Romeo sold exactly 8,865 vehicles in the entire United States. Ford sells that many F-150s in about 3 days. Alfa Romeo's entire annual U.S. sales wouldn't fill half an NFL stadium parking lot. Sales kept falling in 2025, down 34 to 36% per quarter. The quadrifolio versions of the Giulia and Stelvio, the only models enthusiasts cared about, got canceled for the U.S. That leaves 3 vehicles: the Giulia sedan, Stelvio SUV, and Tonale crossover. None sell in meaningful numbers. Stellantis hired McKinsey to evaluate both Alfa Romeo and Maserati. When consultants assess two Italian brands simultaneously, that's corporate speak for deciding which one to kill first. The parent company is losing billions. They're not investing in Alfa's future. The dealer network shrinks yearly. Stellantis promised a full electric lineup, then backtracked because EVs aren't selling. But their gas cars aren't selling either. Here's what nobody says out loud. Alfa Romeo loses money on every U.S. vehicle sold. The brand exists for European prestige, so Stellantis can call itself a global luxury player. Those 8,000 American buyers? If they disappeared, would Stellantis notice? Alfa might survive by pulling out of North America completely. New Giulia and Stelvio models are supposedly coming. The CEO seems committed. But survival and success are different. Alfa Romeo might exist in 2030. Whether anyone will care is the question. Number 4. Jaguar 49. That's how many Jaguars were registered across all of Europe in April 2025. Your neighborhood might have more Jaguars parked on the street than were sold across the entire continent last month. The previous year, Jaguar sold 1,961 vehicles in Europe during April. This year, 49. That's a 97.5% collapse. Here's the crazy part. This was intentional. Jaguar discontinued their entire gas lineup before electric replacements were ready. They created a 12 to 18-month gap with literally no product. Dealers sit with zero inventory. Customers who want a Jaguar literally cannot buy one. The rebrand was catastrophically tone-deaf. Jaguar unveiled controversial logos and marketing with gender-neutral models and vague slogans like "Copy Nothing," while having zero cars to sell. They alienated existing customers and attracted nobody new because there were no cars to buy. BMW, Mercedes, and Audi each sold between 50,000 and 75,000 vehicles in Europe. During the same month, Jaguar sold 49. Jaguar's managing director admitted only 15% of current buyers will return for the EVs. They're intentionally abandoning 85% of their customer base, gambling on attracting completely new buyers at Bentley and Rolls-Royce price points. The flagship electric GT won't arrive until late 2025, priced around $200,000. Jaguar is betting ultra-wealthy buyers will spend that much on a brand that hasn't made anything noteworthy in years, and whose legacy includes electrical problems and catastrophic depreciation. A cyber attack cost Jaguar Land Rover $250 million this year. Profit margins dropped from 10% targets to 5 to 7%. Dealers report revenue drops of 60 to 90%. Jaguar might survive because Land Rover posted record profits of $2.5 billion. Land Rover's success buys time for Jaguar's gamble. If the $200,000 GT is genuinely spectacular, Jaguar stages an unlikely comeback. If it's merely good, the brand disappears. This is the biggest all-in bet in automotive history. Number 3. Chrysler name a Chrysler vehicle. Now name a second one. If you said Pacifica twice, you're right, because that's literally their entire lineup. Chrysler sells two vehicles, the Pacifica minivan and the Voyager. Except the Voyager is just the Pacifica with different badges. So Chrysler sells one vehicle with two names. Sales dropped 22% year-to-date in 2025, with a 42% collapse in Q2. Pacifica sales fell 29% in the first half. The Airflow Eve concept that was supposed to save the brand? Cancelled. No new products announced. Zero. The Chrysler 300 got discontinued in 2023. Chrysler sells fewer models than some motorcycle manufacturers. Honda's Odyssey outsells both Chrysler minivans combined. The brand that invented the minivan segment is now losing it to Toyota, Honda, and Kia. When you can't dominate the category you created, you've already lost. Stellantis gave up on Chrysler years ago. Former CEO Carlos Tavares wanted only high-margin luxury vehicles. Chrysler doesn't fit. The brand has no identity, no purpose. Dealers only carry Chrysler because franchises are bundled with Jeep and Dodge. Everyone over 40 remembers this playbook. GM kept Oldsmobile alive for years with badge-engineered vehicles and vague promises. Then they announced closure and nobody was surprised. Chrysler is following the identical path. Stellantis is considering brand rationalization, corporate speak for shutting down money-losing divisions. The similarities to GM killing Pontiac, Saturn, and Oldsmobile in 2009 are impossible to ignore. The minivan segment shrinks yearly as buyers shift to SUVs. Chrysler has no emotional connection with customers. Sales come mostly from fleets and rentals. It makes more sense to rebadge the Pacifica as a Dodge. Chrysler could survive if Stellantis invested in one new product. But when your parent company hemorrhages billions, Chrysler won't get that investment. The only question is whether Stellantis pulls the plug in 2026 or 2027. Number 2. Maserati. When you sell fewer cars than Ferrari despite costing less and being less exclusive, you don't have a luxury brand. You have a crisis wrapped in Italian leather. Maserati sales collapsed 58% in 1 year, from 26,600 units in 2023 to just 11,300 in 2024. They're on pace for only 8,000 in 2025. Operating losses exceeded $260 million last year. Stellantis wrote off $1.6 billion in canceled EV projects. Here's the damning stat. In October 2025, Maserati sold 124 vehicles in the US. Ferrari sold 298. Lamborghini sold 244. Maserati, the affordable Italian exotic, got beaten by brands costing twice as much. The only explanation is nobody wants what you're selling. Stellantis made catastrophic errors. They pushed Maserati all in on expensive EVs nobody wanted. The Folgore electric range flopped. They discontinued the Ghibli, Quattroporte, and Levante without replacements, leaving massive lineup holes. The new Gran Turismo and Gran Cabrio launched at insane prices. When sales tanked, Maserati cut prices, destroying brand prestige. The Grecale SUV, their supposed volume model, isn't offered with the V6 hybrid customers want. Production chaos followed. The Mirafiori plant shut down repeatedly. Production dropped 70% in 2024. CEO turnover hit in October 2024 when David Grasso got replaced by Santo Fascili, who also runs Alfa Romeo. Stellantis hired McKinsey to evaluate both brands. When consultants assess two brands simultaneously, management is deciding which dies first. The new CEO claims they're targeting 15,000 to 20,000 annual sales with profitability by 2028. But they're at an 8,000 pace with no new products. Competition intensifies from Lucid, Polestar, and established luxury players. Recent quality issues destroyed the brand's reputation. Stellantis can't keep funding $260 million annual losses while fighting for survival. The parent company posted a $2.7 billion loss in the first half of 2025. Most likely outcome? Maserati gets sold to a Chinese automaker wanting instant luxury credibility, or it gets merged into what's left of Alfa Romeo. The Trident badge might survive. The brand as we know it is already gone. Number 1. Nissan. When a senior executive tells the Financial Times your company has 12 to 14 months to survive, you're not restructuring. You're in hospice. Nissan posted a $4.5 to $5 billion net loss for the fiscal year ending March 2025. They're closing 7 plants globally by 2027. Job cuts doubled from 9,000 to 20,000. They're slashing production capacity by 25%. Renault, who saved them from bankruptcy in 1999, reduced their stake from 46% to under 36%. The $60 billion Honda merger talks collapsed. Major supplier Marelli filed for bankruptcy owing Nissan $313 million. Let's talk about what 12 to 14 months to survive means. That's not spin. That's a senior executive publicly stating that if Nissan doesn't turn things around by mid-2026, the money runs out. This is the same company Renault rescued 26 years ago. Now they're back on the edge, except Renault is backing away instead of doubling down. When your previous savior reduces their stake by 10 percentage points while you hemorrhage billions, that tells you everything. Nissan initially predicted a $560 million loss. Then they revised it to $5 billion, nearly 9 times worse than expected. They logged 500 billion yen in impairment charges across North America, Latin America, Europe, and Japan. The company refused to issue an operating profit forecast. Unprecedented. The CFO resigned. The product problems run deep. Nissan's CVT transmission reputation still tanks resale values years after the worst failures. They missed the entire SUV boom. Their early EV advantage with the Leaf got squandered. The Ariya isn't competitive against Tesla or Hyundai. Core sedans like the Altima and Versa got discontinued with no replacements. Infiniti was neglected for over a decade. Nissan isn't circling the drain. They're already in it. The 12 to 14-month timeline isn't a warning. It's an obituary with the date already written. 7 brands, 7 different crises, 1 brutal pattern. The automotive industry doesn't reward complacency anymore. Chinese manufacturers build competitive EVs for half the cost. Consumers demand value over heritage. Supplier bankruptcies expose how fragile this whole ecosystem has become. Some brands will survive. Volkswagen is too big to fail. Mitsubishi has a plan. Jaguar's gamble might actually work. But Nissan's 12-month timeline isn't a threat, it's a prediction. And if a company that's survived since 1933 can implode this fast, no brand is safe.